radio type of stream.
SLS. Alright, so we're waiting for more information to come out.
So pretty much where we're at so far is, alright, they got the ex-girl on the stand right now, and I guess Drake and Montana, I think, were at one of the freak-offs, and they're traveling the world having freak-offs everywhere in all the countries. Like, I don't know where.
Panther,
I don't know where they didn't have the freak-offs at. They're kind of having freak-offs everywhere, it sounds like to me.
Priest being there, sorry for that, Shadow. Glad she's alive too.
Yeah, she threw him off. He threw her off a boat. And I don't know
so
where.
A lot of women, females that are in the chat that can relate in some way to this.
I don't have any image to show for this.
Horrible. Thank you for everyone being brave and sharing your own experience. Again, we're having adult conversations here covering this trial.
They should be going for a plea deal with the type of shit they're saying, though. So far they got
not
up
virtual
to,
signaling either, folks. I mean, this is some serious stuff.
So far we got up to pretty much. I mean, they're at the whole beginning of the relationship. They haven't even got like further into it.
Well, the exhibits.
I think they got up to 317 as of right now.
The USA, yes, the defense wants the exhibit to be longer and about masturbation.
What?
They wanted to cut it off at looking at my eye.
They wanted to be about masturbation. What the hell?
So we'll probably get a media journalist coming out describing what went on in there. I hope they get him for his involvement in Tupac's death. That's a really.
Yeah, he killed Tupac supposedly too. Eminem even said it in one of his songs. He's like, what do you say in that song? He's like, when you put the hit out that got Pac killed. All
right, we're on lunch break, so hopefully we get some analysis here. We're gonna stay on.
Let's see if we can find something since we're on lunch break.
Thank you.
Hold on. You're still purchasing your lenses from your...
Yeah, they're on lunch break right now.
Certainly that wasn't because, someone wanted
to... They're talking about everything up until the lunch break right here.
All these different things that were going on could not have occurred.
Just listen. You don't gotta watch. There's nothing to show.
The machine
other than this bald-headed ass guy.
Including Cassie. And I think that's where the defense has to go with it. And yeah, is it a tightrope? Sure. But that's why we get paid the big bucks. You got to walk.
There's nothing to see. All you do is listen, all right?
Cassie with the eye that she's a pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant woman that has been through a lot. I don't discount that. But at the same token, you have someone who was procuring prostitutes, was knowingly helping to fly them in, was doing all these things.
Male prostitutes also.
The only thing the government can say is, yeah, she was doing those things because she felt threatened. But at some point, she left. At some point in 2018, she left, she got married, and she was living a happy life, and then she decided a couple of years later that life would be supplemented with $50 million. And that's
good
what
point.
the defense is going to go for.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
As much as we want to protect women and protect that type of abuse that I'm sure she suffered some type of abuse, at some point, there's going to be some people on the jury that are going to say, hey, this went on for 7 years. Someone needs to take some responsibility.
Right.
And it couldn't be that every time this happened, it wasn't without consent. That's where the defense is going to go. That's what I think
I
is
agree.
their strong
He's probably right.
And that's the only way to defend this case is that you have to come out.
I mean, I'm sure there was some consent in there.
The velvet glove, right? You have to come out with a glove, right? You want to hit, but it has to be a velvet glove. It has to be a soft hit. So you can't be the Brad Cohen in this case. You have to treat each witness kind of with kid gloves until you can really trap them into a conversation where now you can demonstrate to the jury this is why he is.
Well, I want to let everybody know that The jury has gone to lunch, so we should be able to check in with Elizabeth Milner in just a short time. She'll be able to tell us what exactly is going on in that courtroom, the reactions from the jurors, how Cassie Ventura is on the stand. Is she getting tearful today? We don't know. We know that she did get tearful earlier in her testimony. But let's get to some more questions right now. Melba, I'll send this next question to you. I don't know if they need to actually show these videos, but do you anticipate, and this question was from Marissa Monroe, are they going to show the freak-off videos in court?
I think they will, but I don't think they're going to show all of them. I think they're just going to maybe show like a sampling. So again, Cassie can talk about and identify the sex workers that may have been involved, identify the locations, because again, in order for this to be a federal case, you've got to cross state lines. So if you have to establish that these activities happened in New York, happened in Miami, happened in California, that you were forcibly transferred or had to travel to each of these different locations. So the videos are going to be important from that perspective. But again, I don't think everybody's going to sit there and, watch, sex tape after sex tape after sex tape and watch Cassie be, basically raped and brutalized 10 different ways from sunrise. I don't see that happen. But I do see some snippets coming in. But I do got to say one more thing, because my inner prosecutor wants to go after what Brad said.
Yeah, I had a feeling Melba was going to have something to say about what Bradford was saying. So go on.
Yeah. But most importantly,
I think that Melba's bringing the velvet hammer to you.
Oh,
Bradford, not a velvet glove, a velvet hammer.
Melba's fantastic.
So go on,
She's always
Melba.
been fantastic. I welcome it.
Well, one thing I will say, first of all, is that sadly, I think all of us know people who have stayed in abusive relationships for a lifetime. And we know people that have died as a result of domestic violence relationships. So that argument of, well, take responsibility, you should leave, et cetera, you don't leave until you're ready. And ready can mean a number of different things. Ready could mean you are emotionally ready to walk away from the person. Maybe it was one beating too far. Maybe you ended up in the hospital, whatever the case may be. She left him around 2018. Of a sexual assault in 2018. Maybe he brutalized her one time too many and she walked away. It's not necessarily she's waiting for $50 million. She just needed to get her inner gumption together to be able to walk away.
I kind of think
and
she was
also,
waiting for $50
her coming forward, yes, later in
I do kind of think she was waiting for $50 million, so.
life, but a lot of times, again, it's because you have enough space away from the person. Your head. Your survival is not tied to your abuser. And now you feel strong enough to come out and talk about it. We've seen what happened with Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein. So many survivors. That's why we have to have that Adult Survivors Act that allows people to come back and be able to address these claims decades sometimes after the fact, because again, that emotional healing is not a linear thing. It takes a while to get out of these relationships and then feel strong enough to be able to go through the entire court process, especially sharing the most horrible, degrading things that can happen to you as a human being, and sharing it in front of people you don't know, sharing it in front of your partner, sharing for all of us to sit there and analyze it. That's tough. That's not an easy thing to do, and some survivors are never able to.
Yeah, you're most definitely right. And they have to be ready. They have to be ready, and often at times there's a lot of fear. So we are going to get back to the questions here in just a few moments. Stay with us, everybody.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts.
Been hurt in accidents and all kinds of things. And in the past few months alone, Morgan & Morgan has won some really big.
So they're talking about here.
For the incident, her lip is swollen and she is wearing sunglasses with her hoodie pulled over her head. She took a photo in an Uber as she left the hotel. Cassie Ventura testified that after the incident at the hotel, showing parents came by her apartment banging on the door This was normal, she said. He showed up quite a bit, Ventura didn't let him in. Later that evening, she went to the
God
home
damn,
of
look at that traffic on the
security
left.
guards who goes by the name D-Rock. Living in LA, I
D-Rock.
really didn't have a lot of people.
Why do they call him
Ventura
D-Rock?
told the jury. She considered D-Rock and his wife close friends.
Oh,
Holmes also
D-Rock.
showed up there later that night, Ventura said. Sean Combs texted Cassie Ventura after he assaulted her in the hotel hallway back in March of 2016, demanding she return to the hotel where they just had a freak-off, according to evidence
Yeah,
presented.
they had
at a
freak-offs
trial.
everywhere from when I was
At the
listening.
trial
There's a
just
guy
now,
doing a live
Holmes told
trial.
Ventura
It's
that
on
police
recess
were
right
coming
now. They're
into
a
the
bunch.
hotel and she
But
needed
they've
to
been having
return.
freak-offs everywhere. I don't know where they haven't had a freak-off. They've been having freak-offs in all the countries.
The biggest thing I've ever done
All over the
in my
U.S., all
life.
over the world, they've been having the
Texted
freak-offs.
Holmes, referring to an event for her starring role in a film. I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick to think it's okay to do what you've done, she added. Prosecutors showed an image of Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs at an after-party following her 2016 movie premiere, which took place a couple of days after her meeting in the hallways of the Intercontinental Hotel in Los
getting
Angeles.
dragged by the
It shows
feet.
Ventura in a sparkly green
That was like some
V-neck
Hunter
dress.
Biden shit, that
She was
video.
seated
Hunter
over
Biden
on
chasing the
credit for
fucking
Combs
hooker out of the
wearing a
hotel room in her
three-piece
fucking...
suit. His other hand, he
with the
owns
towel
the
around
drink.
his
The
waist.
government pointed out
He was
some
doing the same
bruising
shit.
from the hotel incident visible on Ventura's
I don't know, I kind of think there's a chance he's still going to get found not guilty, simply because he's P. Diddy.
On her thigh, concealed under her dress. Just yesterday in court, Cassie Ventura was shown photos of men alleged to have participated in freak-offs and asked to identify them by name.
Drake and
to
one other guy, I think they
testify
said
about how
Future, I
they
forgot
were
who.
hired and in what cities they participated in the sex sessions. Now Ventura is being asked to do this again. The escorts are a racially diverse group of men, some of whom Ventura only remembered vaguely. She was unsure of some names. There were at least 6 men shown. Ventura said it was her job to hire these men, that it was expected of her by Sean Combs. Ventura said that she performed sex acts with all the men shown, and that those who were paid with Sean's money. So I just want to go recap I think the biggest moments that have come so far from this courtroom setting today, as Cassie Ventura is back on the stand. This is when we are learning a little bit more about the lengths that Diddy would try to come to Cassie Ventura moments after the beatdown. This is what prosecutors are trying to showcase, that not only was he an abuser, but also that he would put fear and intimidation into Cassie. So I think this is one of the biggest takeaways right now that we are seeing back from this incident that happened in 2016. I want to rehash this. It says, Cassie Ventura testified that after the incident at the hotel, Sean Combs came by her apartment, banging on the door and yelling. This was normal, she said. He showed up quite a bit. Ventura didn't let him in. Later that evening, she went to the home of one of Combs' security guards, who went by the name D-Rock, living in L.A.
Oh, D-Rock's the guy who didn't sign the gag order. He was the only one that didn't sign the gag order, and that's why he could talk about all
showed up
that.
there later that night, Ventura said. So, these are just some of the latest updates coming from inside of the
I wonder if we're
courtroom.
gonna find out who
We are
killed
getting
Tupac.
these updates in real time, bringing them
For
out
sure.
to you. But I just wanted to again showcase what the prosecution is trying to deliver to the jurors right now, in showing this pattern of not only abuse by Sean Combs.
Through HIMSS, hundreds of thousands of guys are finding doctor-trusted treatment for their ED. In fact, we'll show...
I'm not playing ads for nothing. My shit works fine.
So we are waiting to see just how this is all going to shake out in the examination. But again, very, very crucial right now. So far, an hour into today's testimony, the prosecution is continuing and to really zero in on the 2016 incident that was caught on camera at that hotel. And they're zeroing in so much on it because the incident was caught on camera. If you didn't have the images, it would be much more difficult for the prosecution to try to deliver home some of these allegations that they are putting forward on Sean Combs. All right, we are getting some new information right now. Text messages shown to the jury suggest Sean Combs was displeased when Cassie Ventura took ketamine. Ventura told the jury this was because it made her sexually inactive during freak-off sessions.
We got the news through a text message.
Of it for too long, she said. We're just high and not doing any intercourse. We're also learning some of the view of Cassie Ventura on the closed-circuit video feed at the courthouse. She has taken off her jacket and is wearing her hair down.
How do you get the video? I want to see the video.
Reviewing the evidence being presented. There's also 2 plastic water bottles and a box of tissues. When testifying, she has to lean slightly forward to speak into a microphone. Periodically, she will run her hands over her pregnant belly or try to stretch her back a little when she is in the chair here. So, we are waiting for more crucial testimony in day 3 here of the diddy trial. Cassie Ventura back on the stand, still waiting for cross-examination that will be happening some point later today. Text messages shown to the jury suggest that Sean Combs was displeased when Cassie Ventura took ketamine. Ventura told the jury this was because it made her sexually inactive during freak-off sessions. And this is another way that the prosecution is going to try to deliver on the fact that
this trial is so freaking weird.
She was forced into these sexual
I'll read the comments
acts.
in a
That
minute.
is what the prosecution will be trying to really bring home to the jury by showcasing some more text messages and also the testimony of Cassie. So we are continuing to be with you here on Live.
So far, Cassie is still under direct examination by the prosecution. She's being questioned by ASA Emily Johnson. You know, Diddy today appearing in a different color today. He had a cream sweater on, a white undershirt.
I thought they were on lunch, the trial.
Other hand, he holds a drink. The government pointed out some apparent bruising from the hotel incident visible on Ventura's right shin. Ventura testified that she had a larger bruise on her thigh concealed under her dress. Just yesterday in court, Cassie Ventura was shown photos of men alleged to have participated in freak-offs and asked to identify them by name and to testify about how and where they were hired and in what cities they participated in the sex sessions. Now Ventura is being asked to do this again. The escorts are a racially diverse group of men, some of whom Ventura only remembered vaguely. She was unsure of some names. There were at least 6 men shown. Ventura said it was her job to hire these men, that it was expected of her by Sean Combs. Ventura said that she performed sex acts with all the men shown, and that those who were paid with Sean's money. So I just want to rehash one of the, I think, the biggest moments that have come so far from this courtroom setting today as Cassie Ventura is back on the stand.
Who is Cassie Ventura? Isn't he a wrestler?
We are learning a little bit more about the lengths that Diddy would try to come to Cassie Ventura just moments after the beatdown. This is what prosecutors are trying to showcase, that not only was he an abuser, but also that he would put fear and intimidation into Cassie. So I think this is one of the biggest takeaways right now that we are seeing back from this incident that happened in 2016. I want to rehash this. It says, Cassie Ventura testified that after the incident at the hotel, Sean Combs came by her apartment, banging on the door and yelling. This was normal, she said. He showed up quite a bit. Ventura didn't let him in. Later that evening, she went to the home of one of Combs' security guards who went by the name D-Rock. Living in LA, I really didn't have a lot of people. Ventura told the jury she considered D-Rock and his wife close friends. Combs also showed up there later that night, Ventura said. So these are just some of the latest updates coming from inside of the courtroom, and we are getting these updates in real time, bringing them out to you. But I just wanted to again showcase what the prosecution is trying to deliver to the jurors right now, in showing this pattern of not only abuse by Sean Combs, but then his relentless pursuit to try to put these intimidation tactics by banging on the door saying, let me in, let me in. So we are waiting to see how this all going to shake out in the cross-examination. But again, very, very crucial right now. So far, an hour into today's testimony, the prosecution is continuing to really zero in on this 2016 incident that was caught on camera at that hotel. And they're zeroing in so much on it because the incident was caught on camera. If you didn't have the images, it would be much more difficult for the prosecution to try to deliver home some of these allegations that they are putting forward on Sean Combs. All right, we are getting some new information right now. Text messages shown to the jury suggest Sean Combs was displeased when Cassie Ventura took ketamine. Ventura told the jury this was because it made her sexually inactive during freak-off sessions. It took me out of it for too long, she said. We're just high and not doing any intercourse. We're also learning some of the view of Cassie Ventura on the closed-circuit video feed at the courthouse. She has taken off her jacket and is wearing her hair down. There is a monitor in front of her on which she's viewing the evidence being presented. There is also 2 plastic water bottles and a box of tissues. When testifying, she has to lean slightly forward to speak into a microphone. Periodically, she will run her hands over her pregnant belly or try to stretch her back a little when she is in the chair here. So we are waiting for more crucial testimony in day 3 here of the Diddy trial. Cassie Ventura back on the stand, still waiting for cross-examination that will be happening some point later today. Text messages show to the jury suggest that Sean Combs was displeased when Cassie Ventura took ketamine. Ventura told the jury this was because it made her sexually inactive during freak-off sessions. And this is another way that the prosecution is going to try to deliver on the fact that she was forced into these sexual acts. That is what the prosecution will be trying to really bring home to the jury, and by showcasing some more text messages and also the testimony of Cassie. So we are continuing to be with you here on Live Down from Fox. Always great to be with you as we continue to showcase the latest developments that are coming from Cassie after she left the LA hotel following the attack. Testified too. She said the police were about to arrest
the man who built a billion-dollar empire, who controlled the careers of countless artists.
Kind of like a tennis match look where he's looking, at ASA Emily Johnson, and he's looking at Cassie, he's looking at the jurors, and, as much as, I talk about Diddy very
out on them jurors.
being a part of his defense. He definitely is, because he is very laser focused on the testimony that is coming out. He is very laser focused on what Cassie is saying, and if there is something that she had said, he's writing some notes down, he's handing it off to his defense attorneys. And so, yeah, it seems like for the most part, a lot of people are just very much intently listening to just what she all has to say, and a lot of people, for the most part, are just being laser focused on Cassie and everything that she has been describing throughout the duration of their on and off relationship for an 11-year time period.
Yeah, and that's something our viewers have been asking about today, Elizabeth. You know, how long were they together? And 11 years. I mean, it's a long time, and she was a very young woman when she got together with him. So there's a lot to go over through her testimony. I want to get back to what you were saying about Sean Combs, and you're saying he's a really active participant in his own defense, and of course he would be. I mean, his life is on the line here. He's convicted, spend theoretically the rest of his life behind bars in a federal prison. I was reading the other day that he was kind of just sitting back and looking at her intently at Cassie as she testified. You're saying it's like a tennis match, just kind of looking back and forth, passing notes, things like that. Are you seeing any emotion from him, or is it just more like, okay, we've got to get down to business, and he's just kind of intently focused on this? I mean, are you seeing anything from him at all?
Little side note, Trump, I hope you're joking about making Alcatraz a prison again, because that's just freaking insane.
Especially as they're talking about things like the number of escorts that were brought in, some of these other testimony that was brought in as far as how often and frequently. For the most part, I've not seen too much of a reaction, even as far as, the physical assaults that are being talked about in this testimony. I'm seeing, for the most part, again, him just kind of, either he's keeping his head down because he's jotting a note down, or maybe keeping his head down because his family is behind him, and in their respect, also kind of looking, at Cassie and Cassie's direction, looking at the exhibits that are displayed into the gallery. And so for the most part, it does seem like he's not having too much of a reaction. Not sure if that's just a defense strategy that they're having, so that way it doesn't come off, possibly prejudicial or anything like that. But for the most part, he just seems to be just kind of looking on, not having any type of reaction as far as feeling bad or anything like that. But again, I'm not in his head at all, actually, so I don't know fully what he's thinking in his mind. But for the most part, it seems that if there is a point that he wants his defense to talk about or something like that, he is just jotting it down, handing it off to his defense attorney, but just for the most part sitting quietly at the defense table, but not even really looking at his family for affirmation or anything like that. He really is just very much so kind of being inside.
You follow, and what the real story is, and the fact that they are human and subject to all the human frailties, both good, bad, and indifferent.
Yeah, I think this is a good reminder that no matter what you see, these pictures on social media, Tyler, whether you think Sean Combs is actually guilty of a federal crime, you never know what is going on behind closed doors. And obviously, it's very evident there was domestic violence here.
Yeah, and what I found really interesting about what Elizabeth just told us was the lack of emotion that she could see from the jurors. We know about Mr. Combs and these allegations, and they're hearing this horrendous testimony and live in that courtroom.
You think they would have a reaction, not a lack of a reaction?
AUSA, who's prosecuting this case, and she said she did not see much emotion in the jurors.
Remember, we all have sisters. Remember, we all have sisters, mothers, aunts, women that we care about. And I think that it is critical that the government, whether it be on the state level or the federal level, takes these types of cases seriously. Again, it's not just about a couple freak-offs. It's about the fact that someone was brutalized and forced against their will
thousands of
to
freak-offs
go
from what it
different
sounds like.
places and perform
Not a
sex
couple.
acts.
They're
That's
doing them in
not
every
okay.
state all over
So
the world,
yes,
every country.
Absolutely. I think that the government should be spending millions of
All
dollars
day long
to
they were
let
having
folks
fucking
know that
freak-offs.
it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, how broke you are. If you are abusing people, you need to be held accountable. Period. End of story.
Holy shit,
Our
it's
next
getting hot,
question
75.
is from J. Mack, Tyler. In court documents has stated he has a tape on Cassie trying to extort Diddy for money. If she's caught doing that, what happens, or the tape proves exactly that. So this would
That's a
be
good-
possible
Hello?
impeachment evidence.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, it'll hurt her right now. We just heard Elizabeth say that she seems to be getting a job right now. We just heard Elizabeth say that she seems to be getting a job, giving her testimony that she seems very believable. But during cross-examination and possibly as impeachment evidence, if they pull out this video, I think it could show the jurors another side of her. And I think that's exactly what the defense is going to do. They have to show the jurors another side of Ms. Ventura. As we said earlier, she's 8 months pregnant. She's a beautiful woman who went through horrendous things, and the defense has a job to defend Mr. Combs.
I don't know. I kind of really think he's going to get found not guilty simply because he's P. Diddy.
All punches.
And it's not even going to really be because of his lawyers. It's going to be because the jury wants to go to a P. Diddy concert, possibly a freak-off. And they possibly don't want to have a hitman come after him and
You
kill him.
should switch to one of your contacts because
Kind of like how you sent that hitman after Tupac. Yeah, P. Diddy killed Tupac. Well, he didn't physically kill him, but he sent the hit out that got Tupac killed.
Of the voters believe Cassie.
If I was one of them juries,
Our
I'd
next
vote not guilty because
question
just simply
is
out of
from
fear of
SE.
P.
Melba,
Diddy
this
sending
one's for
someone
you.
after me to
How
kill
does
me.
Cassie's testimony at trial affect her settlement agreement?
And that's
And
another thing
I'm
I was going to
assuming this is
say.
referring
I
to
guarantee you if
the
he
civil
gets
lawsuit.
found guilty,
And,
them
of
jurors
course,
are going to
there
get
was an
picked
NDA,
off one by one.
probably
by
attached
P.
to
by
that.
P.
So
by
where they
P.
probably promised not
Diddley's
to speak about
Diddler
this
Riddler
publicly and that
people.
type of thing. But
He'll P. Diddy Riddler
oftentimes,
them.
you know, NDAs.
He'll
when it
end up
comes to testifying in
Epsteining the
court,
jurors.
That doesn't, you know, that supersedes.
If he
an
doesn't get
NDA.
Epstein first, which I don't think he will.
Yes, absolutely. So first off, whatever settlement agreement they had, you know, one would assume the money's been paid or a down payment has been paid, whatever the case may be. So that
Oh my
is
God,
pretty
those
much
potholes are
complete.
brutal.
Now, in terms of the NDA and
We're gonna sue the
being
city of Chicago,
testified,
everyone.
again, a
Brutal
government
ass
subpoena
potholes.
is a government subpoena. If
Fucking up
you
my
disobey a government
tires, my
subpoena, you can be held
suspension,
in
my
contempt
ball
of court.
joints, my
So
spring
the
shocks.
NDA does not hold water when
The
it
rims,
comes to being
everything.
subpoenaed to speak in court about
Oh my God, you
know,
see this? You hear
particular
these
issue.
brutal potholes?
However, how it would come into play
Sounds
is
like I'm
that
fucking
the,
off-roading
the
isn't even
settlement
going
may
up
not
that hill by the
necessarily
airport ain't even
be
this
a
bad.
feature or be discussed in the trial as a general premise. What's going to be discussed in the focus would be on all the underlying issues that were raised in the civil suit, so to speak.
Let's get to another question. This one is Wolves in France. Is Diddy in civilian clothes in court? I'll take that one very quickly. The answer is yes. So he is in civilian clothes. Tyler, I want you to add to that because Sean Combs' appearance in court is very different from what we're used to seeing from Sean Combs on the red
Where's the
carpet.
sketch artist?
He's not wearing a suit. He's got white hair because I guess he can't get hair dye in
No
the
shit.
NBC. He's wearing like a sweater and slacks. I mean,
He's one of the guards
they're
who didn't
going
give him
for,
like a
the
million. I'm
Mr.
surprised they didn't give him
Rogers,
like
I'm a
10,000
dad,
here. Stick
I'm
me in
my
some hair
mid to late
dye.
50s kind of look. So that's all by design.
Yeah, it's by design, but also, you know, he is in
here's the sketch.
the detention center right now, so he can't dye his hair.
I'm surprised he didn't
he's not
slip a
used to
guard like
living
50,000 and
this
say,
quality of
hey,
life
no,
that
let me get
he's
some
experiencing.
hair
He
dye.
probably would prefer to have his hair dyed. If I'm just from the Sean Combs that we have grown to know through what he's portrayed to the media. And I think that's a big contrast to the star personality that he's portrayed over decades now, and what you're seeing of Miss Ventura, who clearly still a star while pregnant. It could help Mr. Combs' case, having him come off a little more sympathetic.
See, this is why you don't need those stupid bike lanes for the ambulances and the. Oh, you saw that camera flashing away?
Years, and that didn't help him.
Yeah,
This is true. And remember, he always on the Cosby Show wore those sweaters and everything, and then look what happened. So
Bill
you know, the
Cosby?
clothes can mean something in court, but sometimes they don't. So let's go now to one of our updates from court, which I think is an interesting one
Did they
that
receive
could play
it
into
via
one of our
text
questions,
message?
Melba. One of the last things that Cassie Ventura testified to before they broke for lunch was the fact that she took Valium before freak-offs. And she was asked by Emily Johnson, when would you take Valium before a freak-off? And Cassie Ventura responded, when I had anxiety. Sean's driver was bringing me the Valium. It was Raheem, I think. So his driver, a staff member, is bringing her Valium. I would assume maybe prescribed, maybe not. Valium is something you don't really hear much about anymore. But one of the questions from one of the viewers was, Marissa Monroe is asking, do you think other people will be charged? And I'm assuming that's referencing staff of Sean Combs who are allegedly part of this RICO enterprise.
And again, got to give the legal answer. It depends. It depends what evidence they have against these individuals. It depends the statute of limitations. So if this is something where it's a matter of, okay, you're giving out, drugs without a prescription, right? That may be something that carries hypothetically a 5-year statute of limitations. If this is something that happened back in 2010, the statute of limitations is run. So that may be a situation where it doesn't necessarily make the most sense to go after somebody for that. And also there's the argument of knowledge, because again, if the person was handed a bag, hey, give this to Cassie, and they didn't know necessarily what was in it, that's a little bit different than the driver going out and actually procuring the drugs from a dealer and bringing it to Cassie. So it all depends on what the facts are. But in all likelihood, unless somebody provided very material assistance in terms of moving people or something like that, they're likely, I don't think anyone else is likely going to be charged. And again, to refer back to Bradford's point from earlier, the question would be, if they end up cooperating with the prosecution, then that's another way to avoid criminal charges.
Let's go to another question. This has been something that's come up quite a bit. Other celebrities, and other celebrities who may have been privy to these things, may have been a part of these things, and really everything we're hearing right now, Tyler, it sounds like this is Sean Combs, his romantic partners, and then sex workers brought into this. So we're not hearing really about other celebrities being brought into this, but Julio Katz ASMR is asking, will Justin Bieber testify? And that's something, Justin Bieber's name has come up obviously quite a bit, but I don't think we've seen his name on any witness list.
Yeah, I have not seen his name on anything. We have heard about Michael B. Jordan and Kid Cudi, and supposedly Kid Cudi could give some testimony about a brief relationship that he had with Ms. Ventura and his car allegedly being blown up shortly after
I know they're not
Combs
fixing
found out about the
potholes,
incident, showing some circumstantial evidence that he could possibly have orchestrated that car bombing. But I have not heard anything about Justin Bieber testifying, but there could be other celebrities who could show up in other fashions.
Oh my God,
let's get now to some of the things that happened in court after they broke for lunch. There was some talk off, outside of the presence of the jury, about videos on devices and things like that. The defense, Sean Combs' defense team, was saying, we just heard this morning about videos on his devices. This is relevant. Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic responded, we can agree to more, something less than 10 pages. Hecker Fink, and for the witness known as Mia, so Hecker Fink is the lawyer for Mia, said there is a jury instruction about the victims. Then the Hecker Fink lawyer said, Mia would have taken this to her grave. I don't know how to support her. If we can't discuss her pain, what she went through, we will not put words in her mouth. Her nerves are through the roof. So we have a victim here that sounds like who may be set to testify, who's having a very, very, very difficult time. The judge responded, we are trying to prevent witnesses being counseled on how to testify, what to say or not to say. Anything else okay? Would that be acceptable? The Hecker Fink lawyer responded, I'm afraid she'll have a moment, lose it, then ask me, did I forget?
All right, we'll come back. Like, subscribe, share, hit thumbs up. We'll be back.